Hey, what's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. Big update on Hurricane Ida. This storm is supposed to graduate to a Cat 4 hurricane in less than 36 hours. Be a major Category 4 off the coast of Louisiana, possibly making landfall as a Category 5 hurricane. It's going to bring a lot of flooding, a lot of high waves, a lot of storm surge, not to mention the wind damage that goes along with a Category 4 hurricane. You're talking wind speeds of 140 miles an hour with gusts of 160 miles an hour. Hurricane warnings extending all along the Louisiana coast. Storm surge warnings along the Louisiana coast, Mississippi, parts of Alabama, going all the way over to the Texas-Louisiana line. Anywhere from 2 to 4 feet, all the way up to 10 to 15 feet of storm surge along the southern coast of Louisiana. That all depends on high tide. If this thing makes landfall at high tide, it could very well be 10 to 15 feet of storm surge. If it makes landfall at low tide, it may not be that much. We'll have to wait and see. It's all going to be heavily influenced by the high tide, though. So right now we're looking at wind speeds of anywhere from 149, 150. That would be a Category 4 storm. These are wind gusts. Looking at a possible landfall time of 2 p.m. over here at VentureSky.com. Wind gusts of 152 mile an hour. Hopefully people in the Houma area have already evacuated. New Iberia, Lafayette, even Baton Rouge. There's going to be a lot of water in this area by the end of the weekend as this storm is going to make landfall sometime on Sunday. Over here at windy.com showing the same basic thing. 150, 152 mile an hour, 142 mile an hour gusts. Only thing is it's got a different landfall time of 9 p.m. on Sunday. So the models are not in exact agreement yet, but they're getting close. Looking at the satellite presentation over here at the GOES satellite, this thing is really ready to go. You can tell it's just ready to get off and running. Right there, it's getting stronger over land. That little bit of interaction with Cuba, normally it slows storms down. You can see right there, that dark black, that represents strength. This storm is definitely going to be a strong one. Coming over here to the National Data Buoy Center, we're going to be watching the buoys as the storm moves forward into the northern Gulf of Mexico. You can even get updates here if you click on these little black circles where it says H, 12-hour forecast, 100 mile an hour sustained winds, 120 mile an hour gusts, 24-hour forecast, 120 mile an hour winds, 150 mile an hour gusts, 36-hour forecast, 130 mile an hour sustained, 160 mile an hour gusts. As it's getting ready to make landfall in 48 hours, 140 mile an hour sustained, 165 mile an hour gusts, and remaining a hurricane for a little while after it makes landfall. This thing's going to be a big deal. It's going to have New Orleans in that right quadrant, which is the strongest part of a hurricane. That's the divergence of the storm. Covers an area of several hundred miles. And we just saw the center of rotation right there. Just go straight vertical. Just unbelievable. Guys, I wanted to touch base on the Sahara sand. What I meant by no hurricanes are going to form in the sand is literally that. A storm could not do what you just saw on satellite right there. It couldn't do it over here under that sand canopy. It's impossible. And a storm has to breathe, just like you saw on this satellite presentation. When it does that, it's spreading its wings and it is breathing. It can't do it underneath these large canopies of sand, at least the very dense ones like there and even over there. There's just no way. But Ida found an opening down here in the southern Caribbean, and it took full advantage of it. And that storm found an area where it could breathe, and it took off. And right now, it's up here. You can see it churning, even over here on the particles map at nullschool.net. That's Ida right there putting on a performance. I have a feeling this thing is going to be a spectacle. I would certainly get out of the path of this storm if I was anywhere near the cone. I don't know exactly how big this storm's going to get. I think it's going to rival some of the other historic hurricanes that have made their way into the Gulf of Mexico. Over here at Zoom.Earth, looking at Hurricane Katrina back in August of 2005. It also made landfall on August 29th, right there. There's the date, August 29th of 2005. As you can see on this satellite presentation, Hurricane Katrina took up over half of the Gulf of Mexico. It was a very large, powerful storm that made landfall on August 29th of 2005. Here's Hurricane Harvey in 2017. This was also in August. And you can see Harvey looks small compared to Katrina. Harvey was about half the size of Katrina. It's going to be about half the size of Ida. and it was about half the size of Irma, but it had twice as much rain. Here comes Irma, and this was pre-Sahara sand days when we didn't have all that sand lurking out here in the Atlantic Ocean. Irma made the 4,000-mile journey from the west coast of Africa all the way over to the Greater Antilles, up through the Bahamas, in between Cuba and South Florida, and then up into the Gulf of Mexico. That was a very long duration, powerful hurricane. Now we've got Ida just getting started down in the North Caribbean, making its way up into the southern Gulf of Mexico. And you just saw that storm reaching way up into the atmosphere on satellite presentation right here. This is going to be another big, powerful storm that's probably going to rival some of the historic storms that have made their way into the Gulf of Mexico. And I have a feeling Ida is going to make its way into the record books. Looking at rainfall totals in southern Louisiana, the bright pink is anywhere from 15 to 20 inches. The red is anywhere from 10 to 15 inches. Big area of red you can see right there. Orange covers an even bigger area. That's 6 to 10. The yellow areas are 4 to 6 inches. And then the greens are anywhere from 1 to 4 inches. You can see 4 inches of rain up in Middle Tennessee, where they just had a round of flash flooding. And that's the last thing they need is more rain right now. But this is going to be a very large storm, so it's going to bring a lot of moisture with it. Wind speeds at landfall anywhere from 140, quite possibly 150 and higher. I know if I was in the path of this storm, I would definitely try to find higher ground. It's going to be a major hurricane at landfall. And here's the storm surge warning area. This is from the National Hurricane Center. All the dark pink you see here, storm surge warning. Again, this depends on high tide. If it comes in at high tide, which is at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning on the 29th, then the storm surge will be even greater. But you can see it covers a very large area. Going to look at another map here put out by the National Hurricane Center. This area right here, that would be east of Huma. All that red, greater than 9 feet above normally dry ground. And that's about 20 miles east of Huma. That would be just west of Matthews. Matthews is looking at anywhere from 1 foot above normally dry ground, all the way out to the orange and red, which is 6 to 9 feet above normally dry ground. Huma looking at 3, 6, and some areas of 9. Coming over here to the east side of Lake Pontchartrain, looking at Slidell, Louisiana. You can see a lot of yellow, orange, blue, a lot more orange over here. That's anywhere from 1 to 6 feet above normally dry ground. And then over here west of Bay St. Louis, wide area of 3 to 6 feet above normally dry ground. And that's quite a ways away from the center of rotation. You're talking way over here, and the landfall is going to be over here. So it all depends on high tide. Here's the high tide chart for August 29th. 4:23 a.m. So again, if this thing makes landfall during the overnight hours between 4 and 5 a.m., then the storm surge will definitely be greater. And also worth mentioning, we've got a hurricane making its way up to Arizona. Won't be a hurricane, but it'll probably be a tropical depression. It's supposed to straddle the Gulf of California here, all the way up into the California Baja, and then reaching Arizona as a tropical depression. This is Hurricane Nora over here in the East Pacific, churning as a tropical storm right now, soon to be a Category 1, and remaining a Category 1 for the next 4 days, and then coming into Arizona. But right now, the main headline is Hurricane Ida making its way through the Gulf of Mexico towards southern Louisiana as a major Cat 4 hurricane. Don't be surprised if that doesn't make landfall as a Category 5. Thanks for watching. Have a super day, and be safe out there.